Okay, so thank you for your patience. Our agenda for tonight, we have a panelist who's going to talk about trends and insights and voices from the field and resources available for work in the US. And then, as I mentioned before, we'll have a DISSA presentation following our panel. So this event would not be possible without our partners. We'd like to take this time and thank them for their support. We're so excited to have an interdisciplinary panel this evening. Lauren Garnice graduated from Penn State with a BS in Human Development and Family Studies and an MED in Counselor Education with an emphasis in career counseling. She currently works as a student and alumni relations coordinator for the College of Liberal Arts. Ruby Zhou graduated from Penn State with a BS in Finance and BS in Statistics and is currently a manager at EY. Sidharth Agrawal has an MS in Energy and Mineral Engineering and will be finishing his Master of Applied Statistics and PhD in Energy and Mineral Engineering. Finally, Shama Ramana graduated from Penn State with a BS in Information Sciences and Technology and is the co-founder of OnVisor. Our DISSA presenters include Susan D'Amico, Associate Director, and Brian Algio, International Student Advisor in Global Programs. Let's give a warm welcome to our panelists.
Thank you so much, Dana, for that introduction. I feel like the trend and the word of the coronavirus times is pivoting. And I like to always say that when technology issues like this arise, we're just gonna pivot. So I thank you for handling that so smoothly. And I'm happy to talk a little bit about trends when it comes to international students obtaining meaningful employment after graduation. So first, getting right into it, I want to give you all an overview of what it looks like getting a job in the United States. There is a lot of competition. About 80% of international students hope to work in the United States after graduation, but only about 8.7% receive a visa. With this in mind, about 30% of international students intern or work in the United States before graduation, while 70% of international students get an internship in their home country. So this is all a lot to consider, a lot of numbers, given that there are 10,000 international students just at Penn State alone. So now that you know a little bit about the big picture here in the United States, let's take a look at some of the statistics from an employer survey from June of 2020. So Jen, I'm gonna ask you to go to the next slide. So the National Association of Colleges and Employers, they were doing these coronavirus quick polls throughout the time when COVID started back in March through June of 2020, which is their latest data. So in June, they were doing these surveys of employers, and they reported that 30% of employers had delayed start dates for full-time hires of the class of 2020. So these are all of your friends who might have graduated back in like May. And 74% of report that delay was about 1 to 3 months. So if you were talking to some of your friends who might have graduated in May, you might have heard from them that they had their start date delayed a little bit. We've also seen a shift in the way that new hires are being onboarded. So about 59% of employers were planning to start full-time hires remotely. A majority of us right now even are working from home. But a majority of those employers didn't know how long that will last. So Jada, I'm gonna ask you to go to the next slide. So what does all of this mean for you as international students? We know that there's a ton of hoops that you have to jump through if you want to work within the United States, a ton of hoops that you have to jump through in general when you're trying to find a job. And the pandemic is making this more difficult. That being said, there are plenty of opportunities for international students to get started in your career path to put you at an advantage. So some of these things include your language skills, having a global mindset, the ability to adapt to different cultures and spaces. And there are many different ways that you can be successful in starting your career path. But the biggest one, and the one that I really want to hone in on, is the ability to advocate for yourselves. So even though it's not fair at times, it's really up to you to know the terms and restrictions around your visa applications, your OPT, your CPT, anything regarding your sponsorship. You're your biggest advocate. So you can use this advocacy to educate employers about the sponsorship process, which might lead to more open-mindedness and potential job opportunities on their end, and that might open up for you. So ways that you can be successful is to know yourself and your goals. So thinking about what your goals are, whether that's you want to get an internship or a full-time job or continue your education. Maybe you want to understand your value a little bit more, and prioritize and build skills that are most important to you, like living abroad or developing a foreign language. Maybe you want to make sure that you're getting and staying involved, finding an internship, work, or leadership experience on campus or remotely right now. Ultimately, you want to be prepared and you want to have a plan B. So you want to start your job search early. Aim for a variety of positions to keep your options open. It helps if you target less competitive cities, knowing more so what they're looking for about your work authorizations and skills in those areas. Building home connections or connections in your home country can also be really helpful, and knowing what those facts are and being ready to pivot on a global scale. Now, the one thing that I really want to hone in on real quick is that networking now more than ever is really important. So whether you're building connections in your home country or you're leveraging the connections that you have from Penn State, it's really important to continue to expand and diversify your circle of contacts. And one of the biggest things you can do for yourself, again, is just utilizing Penn State's network. So Jana, I'm going to ask you to go to the next slide. And so this includes utilizing the numerous alumni within the Penn State Alumni Association. You can see from this map that we have alumni across the world. So it's really important to know, to be able to connect to them for inter-country advice. So we're fortunate right now to have 3 Penn State alumni on our panel today to talk more about their journey and to provide career-seeking tips and recommendations. So with that, I'm going to turn it over to our panelist of experts.
So hi everyone, my name is Ruby. I'm very flattered to be a panelist for today. I graduated from Penn State in 2013 with a finance and statistics double major. So my journey as an international student is I would say a little bit unique. I came to United States in 2009, attended Penn State, but back then I was in engineering college, wasn't sure what I'm doing. And then I think the career fair in the BGC Center definitely opened my eyes to all the, Fortune 500 corporation. And throughout my years, I actually switched my majors to focus in business school and eventually transferred into a finance major. I did a couple internships. So when I was a sophomore, I interned with Goldman in their finance division. And then in 2012, when I was a junior, I did receive a return offer from Goldman to intern again as a junior, but then I decided to, explore some different opportunities. So in 2012, I actually interned with EY, and I accepted the return offer from EY to be full-time. And I've been with EY ever since. So I guess I would say I'm happy with my job. And so currently I'm a manager in the data and analytics practice, focusing on the banking clients and mainly work from home. And my current client is Citigroup, doing a project related to booking controls. So quickly about how did I find my job? What are some useful tips? So I think, first of all, go around to the career fairs or virtual career fairs, whatever is available now, to understand what are the companies out there, what are the companies that are actually taking international students and sponsoring the visas. And then pick like a couple that you are most interested in, do a deep dive, and then start to like reach out, attend networking sections, send out emails to the alumni of these Penn State alumni to kind of to ask like what are the opportunities available, is there any like internships, what's your internship program like, blah blah blah, to see if you can like land some kind of internship opportunities. Also, another way to do it is to reach out to your professor who normally would have some, you know, industry friends and see
you with your current role.
So I think we have a lot of challenges relates to the you know, video conferencing and building client relationship, because we normally build this, you know, client relationships in the kind of small chat or, you know, the pantry conversations, and these opportunities are eliminated. That's definitely a challenge in terms of, you know, build up our like new engagement pipeline, meaning like new opportunities for us to grow the revenue. But I don't think this would be a long-term challenge, because if we really get into a economic downturn, there would be additional regulations coming out, or government rescue packages that the bank need to, you know, either comply to or work with to help rolling this out. And then the big fours, meaning the big four accounting firms, they will have a lot of new opportunities there to help the bank with this.
Thank you, Ruby. We'll go to Sid next.
Hey, thank you so much, Jana, for organizing this, and welcome everyone. And I know we are going through this trouble of Zoom, and I think we have faced this once in a while in the last 6 months. So I'll quickly go through what I've done, and then we'll talk about some of the strategies. So I came to Penn State in 2015 to do my master's in energy and mineral engineering. And I can be a great example of someone who didn't land a job because I didn't know the strategies. I didn't know how to navigate through getting a job in my initial years at Penn State. And I ended up doing a PhD in energy and mineral engineering and a master's in applied statistics at the same time right now. I've been here for the last 5 years, and something that I tell always to international students who come here is do something that's not related to your area of studies in terms of leadership engagement. And it's so important, not only for you to grow personally, but also to show the recruiters in future that you are someone who's a leader and who could put themselves in uncomfortable situation. So when I came to Penn State, my strategy was to grow not only as a researcher, but also diversify and learn about things. Because I'm from India and I moved to this country, it was a culture shock for me. Things were different. It could be as simple as people holding a door for me. And I was like, why the person is holding a door for me when I walk in? And that was unfamiliar territory for me. But you learn through, you know, and these are some of the things that I would highly encourage all of you to learn during your course at Penn State, because it helps you learn the culture and it helps you grow as an individual, which will really help you when you start networking and when you start looking for jobs. In terms of my career trajectory at Penn State, for leadership opportunities, I tried to see how I could devote time to help international students. And I chose 2 different paths. First was being part of organizations at Penn State where I could make substantial impact and changes. And I ran for office and was elected as an executive board member in the student government for grad students. And I served at different boards within Penn State as faculty senate, the graduate council, and newly minted student fee board in 2016. The exposure that I got there was really helpful for me because it helped me learn how things work in America, so to say. I know it was not corporate world, but at the same time, it was an organized structure at Penn State University. And sitting in a boardroom with President Barron sitting there or other VP sitting and voicing your concerns for grad student was something really challenging for me when I started. You know, there would be meetings when I would not say anything just because I was so scared to speak up. But exposing yourself to these situations really helps you grow. And I would highly recommend you to do that to build that leadership skills, which would eventually help you to get bolder in terms of reaching out, networking. As Lauren mentioned, and Ruby also clearly mentioned, networking is so important, and it'll help you do that. Now, coming to some of the job search strategies and how COVID has impacted me. So right now I'm in a verge of graduating. I'll be graduating this December, and I'll start working in January. And I have a job offer from a consulting firm as a senior associate, where I'll be helping the clients in different industry, right from life science to finance. And how did I go about the job search? The first thing I would highly recommend you is to figure out what do you want to do after graduation. And when I talk about what do you want to do, there are three questions that you want to answer. First, where do you want to work? Do you want to work in the US, or do you want to work in your home country, or maybe some other country that you want to live in? Second, figure out what roles do you want to work on. Do you want to work as a data analyst? Do you want to work as a consultant? Do you want to work as a high school teacher? So you need to figure out what you want to do. And the third is you need to identify which companies are hiring for these positions, and specifically for international students, like Lauren clearly mentioned, figure out which companies are sponsoring a visa. That's really important. You have to figure these things out first. Once you do that, so that's what I did. I didn't know that I wanted to get into consulting until 2018. And once I realized that I want to be a consultant, I started figuring out which companies come to Penn State, not only to Penn State, but also which are companies out there and which companies really I want to work for. And my next step was to network. And it's so important even without COVID. And right now with COVID-19, it's so important to network. And I can tell you, based on my personal experience, Penn State alumni are amazing. They love Penn State community. And you just drop a message to them that, hey, I'm a Penn Stater, I'm interested to talk to you for 15 minutes. Do you have some time to speak? I'll tell you that 5 out of 10 will reach back to you, and they'll tell you that, yes, they're willing to talk to you. The only caveat here I would say is that have some patience, because there are hundreds of students who are writing them on LinkedIn, and they are busy themselves. So give them some time before giving up. Just imagine you being inundated with 100 messages every day. You won't be able to answer all, right? So give them some time, but they'll get back to you. So I would highly recommend you connect with alumni who are working in the companies that you want to work with, build that relationship, and start early. The earlier you start, the better they get to know you. And it's a two-way street where you want to learn from them with a goal to learn about the company, about the work, and try to figure out if you can see yourself being there. And second most important thing is start getting a referral from them. If a current employer refers you for a job, especially based on my experience, it's really increases your chances to get invited to an interview. So that's something I would highly recommend you. The third thing I would like to say is that tailor your resume and cover letter to the job that you're applying to. Do not use generic cover letters for all the jobs that you're writing. Tailor it. If you met someone, if you talk something, for example, you met someone in a firm that you really want to work for, write about the experience there that, hey, I met Mr. X or Miss X, Y, Z, and the experiences about that. I really liked what they shared about the company. That shows that you have done your hard work, and it makes you stand out. And our career services have really amazing programs for you to help with your resume and cover letters. So I would highly recommend you to do that. And lastly, we keep applying for jobs. A career fair is a great opportunity. We have that coming up in a couple of days at Penn State, but at the same time, look out for online platforms like Indeed or LinkedIn. They're also really great platforms. And a lot of these companies are posting jobs on these platforms. And especially with COVID-19, where these companies are not able to visit campuses, it's even more relevant at this point that they're posting jobs. I highly encourage you to apply jobs on these platforms, and definitely I'll help you. Yes, that's it, I think, and I'll be happy to answer any questions if you want.
Thank you so much, Sid. So our Zoom meeting will be shutting us off in about 7 minutes, apparently. So I'm going to do this next portion really quick, and then if you would like to stay for the DISSA portion, we'll end this meeting and re-enter the Zoom link again for the DISSA portion. So I'm not sure if our other panelist was able to make it this evening, but Chandra Ramana is another PSU alum who majored in a BS in Information Sciences and Technology, and she had a lot of really great leadership experience here at Penn State. She did a pre-sales internship as a sales then had a data analyst experience at Anthem Inc. And then she also started her own business and is a co-founder of Advisor, which is an online platform connecting international students with college advisors. So she's a lot of really great leadership experience and provided some career strategies down here below: relations, relations, relations. So finding the right people to network with, you build upon long-term relationships, go to mock-up interviews, utilize the career services as Sid said, check for e-verified companies and get referrals. So a lot of really great advice. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to connect with you after this presentation. And we really appreciate the time that she put together this slide. In addition to Chandra, I just wanted to mention that we had a variety of international student alumni reach out with their career stories. So when you click on each of the links underneath of our guests here, you'd be able to find more about their bio and some suggestions for you. Highly encourage you to do that. So some additional tips include creating your targeted internship or job plan, keeping your circle of contacts informed about your plans, including DISSA, career services, and your academic advisor. Having a plan B includes networking with professionals and researching companies in your home country or in countries abroad to stay updated about the current job market. And know that we're here at every step of the way, and we want to work with you to develop a personalized plan and search strategy to meet your goals. So for international students who may be searching for sponsorship, you can use the filters in Nittany Lion Careers to narrow down your search. So we provided you a screenshot here where you mark yes for sponsorship. We wanted to provide you a couple slides of the career services offices at University Park, and you can click the links here for more information. And we've also provided the contact information for our campus career service offices as well. So as an international student, you bring a wealth of global perspectives to the workplace. So these resources listed here can help promote your language skills, demonstrate cultural knowledge, and describe your skills to employers in a manner that is appropriate for the country and company that you plan to work in. For example, Going Global gives examples of what your resume should include for different countries. In setting goals, you also may consider graduate school as part of your trajectory. And as a plug, SMEAL College of Business offers a suite of one-year residential master's programs, many of which are STEM designated, and accept international applicants from a range of undergraduate disciplines. So it's important to set your goals early and do your research. Finally, the SMEAL Office of International Programs meets with SMEAL and DUS international students interested in interning abroad. International internship opportunities are a great way to build work skills while learning about the work environment in a different country. So here are the details about an upcoming event to learn more information on November 12th. And I believe this session will be recorded as well. You can schedule an appointment with the SMEAL Office of International Programs using Starfish. So we have 3 minutes and 10 seconds for anyone to ask us some questions before we head into the DISSA presentation. And,
thank you so much for that.
Yeah, go ahead.
That was very good. And I know you're running short on time. 2 very quick questions I think will benefit everyone. I heard that if you apply for internships on campus, there's no differentiation between an international student and a non-international student. So where could we find like a filter or a search engine that could help us like find internships that are related to our major on campus?
So You may be able to use the Nittany Land Careers for any on-campus interviews or job postings, but I also encourage you to look at the main Penn State jobs website for on-campus positions, because they'll include things like teaching assistantships, research assistantships, those kinds of positions. Unfortunately, they're not filtered by major, but they will show you the department or college that they're listed in. So I'm more than happy to work with you, to identify some of those opportunities. Good question.
Okay, thank you very much. And as for the post that you just showed, it says internship placement guaranteed. Like, what do you all mean by that?
So it is not guaranteed, but there are placement services that you can work with that help you with identifying certain types of employers or housing, or just navigating the process. A lot of them are unpaid, but you may be able to find paid positions. So unfortunately, we are running out of time. I did put my email in the chats for a copy of the presentation. Thank you so much for everyone for joining, and we'll start the DISSA presentation shortly. Take care, everyone.